Hello friends, in this video we are going to discuss about the Urey-Miller's experiment, RNA world hypothesis and organic evolution process which was proposed by the Charles Darwin from the chapter 12 Science, Origin and Evolution of Life. If you like this video, please subscribe this channel and give comments on this box. Now discuss about the Urey and Miller's experiment. Stanley L. Miller and his teacher Harold C. Urey provided the first experimental evidence in support of chemical evolution theory of Oparin. This diagrammatical representation that shows the closed container glass apparatus which was prepared by these Urey and Miller scientists artificially in the laboratory condition. The condition they have created, just like the origin of Earth, shows the primitive atmosphere. They design a glass apparatus which is called as a spark discharge apparatus. This apparatus, it was first they sterilized. That sterilization means shows the completely absence of the microbes. That closed container, it includes the gases, that is methane, ammonia and hydrogen, which are having a proportion 1:2:2. A tube carrying water vapor was also collected to this chamber. The lightning effect was mimicked by an electric discharge carbon arc spark in this chamber. The process of evaporation and precipitation was stimulated by the use of heating mantle and condenser respectively. The mixture of these methane, ammonia and hydrogen was exposed continuously to an electric discharge for several days, causing the gases to interact, after which they are condensed. The liquid collected in a U-tube turned brown. Chemical analysis of this liquid that report the presence of some organic compounds in the form of urea, in the form of amino acid, lactic acid, etc. This experiment strongly support the simple molecule present in the Earth's early atmosphere combined to form the organic building blocks of the life. The Urey and Miller, they have successfully put forth these experiments and they shows how the first life originated and which was the condition during this formation of the gases of Earth. Now come towards RNA world hypothesis. Oparin-Haldane theory and Miller-Urey experiment gives us an understanding that pathway of origin of life on Earth, which goes from non-living to living things, like begets like, necessitates presence of stable genetic material, cellular machinery to carry out routine activities essential for this survival. We are also aware that the proteins, which we called enzymes, catalyzes the chemical reactions in the cell. In 1980, the Sidney Altman and the Thomas independently found out the RNA acts as a biocatalyst. For this discovery, the Altman and Sage earned a Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1989. Here, this diagram represents the RNA world hypothesis. This discovery provides the important support for RNA world hypothesis. that early life must has been based exclusively on nucleic acid, most probably RNA. They proposed Carlos Francis Crick and Leslie in 1960 before the discovery of ribosome. Fact is that RNA is found abundantly in all living cells which structurally related to DNA, and chain of RNA can evolve or undergoes the mutation. They replicate, catalyze reactions, all support this hypothesis. Besides, the biomolecules like acetyl-CoA, which having a nucleotide in their molecular structure. The major evidence in existence of ribosome in cell that shows the translation process. These molecules, they might have undergone repeated replication and mutation, forming a various RNA molecule with various size and catalytic property. Eventually, they might have developed their own protein coat machinery to survive the assembly of a primitive cell. In due course, a double-stranded structure, the DNA, might have been formed and thus continued the ongoing journey which resulted in a rich biodiversity on Earth. Here, this diagram represents the RNA world hypothesis. In this step, the RNA, which composed of these inorganic resources, and they are having a capacity for the self-replication. They catalyze the protein synthesis. In the next step, they shows the formation, membrane change, internal structure along with the new function. In the next step, here the RNA codes both DNA as well as the protein, and these protein catalyze all the cellular activities. Now come towards the theory of organic evolution. Organic evolution, it can be defined as a process which is a slow, gradual, continuous and irreversible changes through which the present day complex forms of the life developed from their simple pre-existing forms. According to Charles Darwin, evolution is the descent with the modification. We have already studied the Lamarck's theory of inheritance in the 10th standard. According to this theory, the traits, that is the characters, are acquired due to this internal force changes in environment. We need the use and disuse of organs after several generations. It gives rise to a new species. This Darwinism this theory was disproved by the German biologist August Weismann, who cut the tail of many rats of several generations but could not find any change in size even after they have studied the 21st generation. He concluded that variation produced in somatic cells and not inherited, while variation produced in germ cell. This Darwinism concept here is based on these 5 main postulates, that is overproduction, struggle for existence, organic variation, natural selection, origin of a new species. Before this Darwinism, the several theories were proposed to explain the process of organic evolution. That is, the Lamarck published a theory of origin of acquired character. This Darwinism concept that is get accepted, but it also having some drawbacks and the objections. The Charles Darwin, as a naturalist, traveled extensively the world over from 27th December 1831 to October 1836 and returned to England based on his collection of living and fossil material. He published a book, The Origin of Species by Natural Selection, in 1859. Before publishing his book, he was very much influenced by the Lyell, who point out the natural forces that existed in the past are same as those existing at present. Darwin observed that natural forces resulted in changes in earth crust along South America. He observed variety of strange plant and animals in various islands, and they studied it by the morphological observation. He was also influenced by the R. Malthus, an economist who worked on human population, mentioning that the reproductive potential of human is greater than other. This resulted in multiplication of a human population without corresponding increase in food supply. This increase led to competition and struggle for existence of human species. He was influenced by plants, animals, breeders who by using artificial selection altered the characteristic of cultivated plants and domesticated animals. Now the first postulate, that is the overproduction. It is the natural tendency to produce the more number of progeny in geometrical ratio for perpetuation of species. He observed the prodigality potential many species of plants and animals. He has shown some examples. That is the salmon fish. They can produce about 28 lakh egg in a single season. But they will not get survive. In a span of 750 years, single pair of elephants would produce the 19 lakhs elephants, but that's not possible. The size of given species in given area that remain relatively constant because of fluctuation due to the seasons. Struggle for existence. Every individual, they have to struggle to live, survive on the earth surface, may plant, animal, microbe. The tendency of overproduction that leads to this struggle between the member of population for the limited supply of food to overcome this adverse environmental condition for a space to accept from enemies. The organic variation. This variation speaks for all kind of differences that occur in morphology, physiology, nutrition, habit, behavioral pattern, etc. The Darwin recognized this variation as a raw material for evolution. These variations were observed among members of the same species or different species. Natural selection. Organic variation can serve as evidence that for the some organisms have better adapted to survive under existing environmental conditions than the other. In the struggle for existence, organisms with the favorable variation, they are selected by nature, while those with unfavorable variation, they can be demolished. According to Darwin principle by which the useful variations are preserved by nature is called the natural selection. H. Spencer named this process as the survival of the fittest. Origin of new species. As favorable variations are transmitted from generation to generation, they become the successive adapted to the environment. Gradually, these adaptations with a few new modifications become fixed in the life cycle and finally give rise to a new species. The Darwinism includes evolution of long-necked giraffe to pluck and eat more leaves from tall trees and woody climbers. This adaptation became fixed in the life for survival. This giraffe born tall could survive in famine hit areas. This adaptation was transmitted to their offspring. This is how the present long-necked giraffe came in existence. The black-colored peppered moth evolved gradually as a new species. These various examples, they have shown this Darwin. Now, this theory is also having some objections. The Darwin considered minute fluctuating variation as a principal factor which are not inherited and not part of evolution. He did not distinguish somatic and germinal variation and considered all variation are inheritable. He unable to explain the arrival of the fetus. He also did not explain the cause of origin and inheritance of variation and vestigial organ. He also unable to explain the extinction of a species. He could not explain existence of nucleophores and sterility of hybrids. Thank you.